Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the M10. It's a Tier 5 American turreted tank destroyer. It's located on the northeast spawn of Province and it's under the command of xFiZzoo. Yes, we've done another of his replays, this time in the M10. Well, Wargaming give you a selection of 4 different guns you can actually put in the M10. The standard gun, which is the 3-inch, which is 76.2 millimeters, or you can have a 76 millimeter gun, which is the standard anti-tank gun. Well, you find that on the M4 EC8 and E2, or you can have this gun, which is the 105 millimeter, and that's the ATM4, and that's capable of 410 alpha with HE rounds, penetrating 53 millimeters of armor, and with a burst radius of 1.91 meters. So even if you land the shell near an opponent, it's going to do damage to them. But if you get a pen, you will really cripple them. And in fact, that's one of the best things about this little tank, is that it really is so effective against other enemy tanks. And at this tier, in a tier 5 game with tier 4 tanks, you're more than likely going to be able to penetrate at least a few of the enemy. Now, it's the standard Wolverine, or rather, I should say M10, because Wolverine was the name given to this tank by the British, or so they say, because we don't actually know if that's true or not. But, because nobody's actually defined worked out who actually called it the Wolverine the first time round. But basically, it's an M4 that's been modified, and it's got an open top turret and an anti-tank gun designed as a tank destroyer. Oh, he got a hit! 141 hit points from that shot. Now, with a standard 3-inch gun, he only would have done damage of 115 alpha. But with this HE round, you can see he can do a lot more damage each shot. And he didn't get the kill there. That actually went to the Panzer 3J on Arty. And well, we've got a BT7 up here who's getting in the way, and so xFiZzoo's decided that he's probably better off going elsewhere to get shots. And well, it's kind of crowded up here. It appears that most of our team have actually stayed back at the cap, including their heavies, and they're not really taking part, or at least they're just taking pot shots to whoever's spotted. Okay, we've got an Excelsior. Now, he has got thick armour on the front of the vehicle, and that's where that shell hit. But on the sides, he's got very weak armour. And now he's presenting in front of us. Well, he got another hit, but it's only 70 hit points, non-penetrating shots. All they're doing really is tracking him. And he's got another hit for 92. Ideally, he wants to hit the side of the vehicle, because that is probably going to penetrate. Oh! Well, he got a hit there, and it actually took him out, but enough damage had been done to him already to kill him. Now, the BT7 has disappeared from this position, which means he might be able to get shots from over here. But now the BT7 can't see where he's gone. Well, it doesn't really matter anyway. So he's got his first kill, and he's off to do some more. Now, as you can see, the M10 does not traverse very well. It is actually quite heavy, but it's being powered by a General Motors 6046 twin diesel. Ouch, the BT7 hit him. That's probably one of the tanks he can actually penetrate in this game. Oh, look at that, penetrating shot, 457, but he took another round from the BT7, and now the Lux is getting in the way. Well, if you're going to go around this side, go round this side, but don't block other people. Okay, with a Valentine AT up ahead. Now he can... Oh, I could see that one coming. It was almost like it was mailed to him. You could see the shell arcing through the sky. It must have been an HE round. In fact, it was for 140. But as you know, with HE rounds, you can't have an obstruction in the way because it pre-detonates the shell. So he's a bit concerned about shooting through any object that might block the shell and stop it, because HE shells detonate on impact. So you can't have a fence or something like that, because if you do, the shell will detonate when it hits. And you can see he's already been hit by one round. That was the Valentine. And he didn't, I don't think he actually got penned by that Valentine shot, but he's decided to pull back for the moment. The AMX-40 has actually got fairly heavy armour, so he would have difficulty trying to pen that guy, but I think he's stopped, and he's a bit out in the open, so maybe he needs to get into cover a bit more. That's better. The enemy's doing rather well at the moment, because they're 3 tanks up on us, and they're pushing towards our cap area. Now, the M10 doesn't have very thick armour, it's only 1/2 inch all round. That's, well, basically on the sides of the hull, it's supposed to be 12.75 millimeters. Long range shots here. Easy hit on the M7. Was that the M7? No, it's a Largo. Sorry, I'm misidentifying it. There's a Lux over there as well. Fires another one in, but unfortunately the Largo managed to pull back in time. They're still there, and they're behind that house, so he's not going to get any shots on them. There are some other enemies over there, but they're just outside of his view range, so he needs to get closer if he's going to get shots on those. He's blind shooting now. He just hit a KV-220 using the minimap as reference, and I think he's going to do that again. He's aiming using the minimap. He knows that there's a tank there, just can't see it. He's aiming basically in third person now. No, you won't get anything off that. Oh, there's a Panzer 5, or von 4, I should say. That's out, unfortunately. Just moving too quickly. That's a very overpowered medium, premium medium. Now, the question is, what's he do now? Does he attack the AMX-40 and the Valentine, take those out of the game, or does he go and help over the other side of the battlefield where they're actually having quite a bit of trouble? He's decided to have a quick look around the corner and see if he can get something off there. Well, getting back to the engine, as I may have mentioned in a previous video, the General Motors 6046 twin diesel is basically a diesel with 2 diesel engines joined together at the bottom in a U shape, and there's 6 inline cylinders. The thing is that they could be disconnected, so you could run on just one bank of the engine, and that means you could take battle damage to one side of your engine and keep moving, although you would be seriously underpowered. Oh, big mistake by the Valentine, and although he may use his repair kit to get fixed, he's about to die if he doesn't. Oh, he survived another shot, but he's been tracked in this road wheel, his drive wheel, and he can't get his gun to bear, so this time round he will die. Or didn't. No, the tracks ate the shell again, and here comes the AMX-40 to save the day for him. He managed to bounce around using his arm, which is incredible if you consider that's a 75mm round, an AMP round. The AMX-40 took a hit there. The Valentine's gone down to fire from the other side, the Matilda, and now he's going to try and put this AMX-40 out of condition, out of condition. It's not the word I was looking for. Out of action would simply be better, I suppose. Well, we've mentioned claw back the deficit that we had in a number of tanks, but at this moment it's still 5 tanks left on either side. Potentially he's got 20% of the enemy hit pool. Might be a high caliber in it for him. Now the M10 Wolverine is basically like the Achilles, but in the case of the Achilles it was the same hull, but they just used the turret with the 76mm 17-pounder gun instead. And one of the reasons the British did that was because not only was the 17-pounder, oh, the Matilda's flipped. Not only was the 17-pounder much more efficient and could penetrate Tiger tanks, the fact is it was British ammunition, therefore obviously they didn't have to keep going to the Americans to get the 3-inch shells that they needed to operate the tank. That's one of the reasons why the British actually built the Cromwell, because they were offered a huge number of Shermans, which the Soviets rejected, and they didn't want to become too dependent on the Americans, and they wanted to have some basic build capacity in the UK to keep workers operating, and they decided that the best way to do that would be to build their own tank, and of course that's how the Cromwell came into being. And the enemy Lux, who was capping, is now wiped out. Now, as far as we know, the AMX-40 is still around the corner. It's just not appeared. I think he might have to go down there and try and wheedle him out, but the thing is, he's only got 32 hit points left. There's only 2 enemies left. Is he there? Yes, he is still there. And we proximity detected him. I'm not sure if we did, but we certainly know he's there. And the Lux, I think, is going in to pump some rounds into him. Well, if the Lux keeps him busy, we can actually come up behind him and shoot him. Now, can we get a shot? It's going to be dangerous. It's worth it. Got the corner of the vehicle. Yes! And he bounced around from the AMX-40, which means he's got Spartan medal as well. Okay, now there's only 1 enemy remaining, and it's an Su-76 GFT, a Chinese tier 4 tank destroyer. And the Lux is running ahead of us, so he might be able to find out where that guy is and allow us to get the kill. Oh, there he is. He's behind the buildings. And he's on his side. Oh my god, this is so perfect. Well, with 3 kills in the bag, he could platoon with somebody else and then kill this thing and win the game. Easy shot. He can just carve into this guy. There's nothing he can do. He hasn't got good gun depression. It's a terrible gun depression on that tank destroyer, and he's just going to keep firing the rounds into that guy's lower plate because he's on his side. There's nothing he can do. And there you go. He wins the game. And, yep, kills the Muppet. Oh, it's being sad to it's being nasty to call him a Muppet, but honestly, when you do flip yourself on your side like that, you really have called yourself Mr. Snuffleupagus for the rest of the game. So let's have a look at the end of battle stats. And here's the end of battle results for xFiZzoo in his M10. He managed to get his first ace tanker in this game. Yeah, when you get the scrolls underneath, you only get those the first time. So this was his first ace tanker in the vehicle, and he did it with the dirt gun, the 105mm. He also got a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points with his own vehicle, a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemies, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits in this game. He managed to get 11. He got a Spartan medal when he bounced around from the AMX-40 right at the end of the game, which would have killed him. If it had actually penetrated, it would have wiped him out altogether. So well done that he angled just enough to make that guy bounce around. And a high caliber as well for getting the most damage in the game overall. So let's have a look at the team score. It's only his second battle in the Wolverine. Oh my god, I just noticed that. He managed to do 2,457 hit points of damage in the M10. The next high scorer was that Panzer V4 Fumfia, which happens to be a very overpowered vehicle, but obviously the player on that side wasn't that good at it, so otherwise he would have run rampant around that side of the battlefield, killing everything in sight. It's basically a Panzer IV with a Panzer V body, or Panzer IV turret with a Panzer V body. The next high scorer was the Lux, who was with him, 1,313 hit points of damage. So that was the third place. Let's have a look at the kills. And it was the Lux who did the best with 4 kills. And then it was shared between xFiZzoo and the Panzer Fumfia on the enemy side of the battlefield, as well as the Matilda on his side of the battlefield. The Matilda managed to Confederate, the KV-1 managed to cool-headed. He could have platooned with the Matilda and with the Lux, and between them they would have ended up with 10 kills overall. Not enough for a crucial contribution, but all of them would have received a Brothers in Arms as well, because they all had at least 3 kills. But I do know in the heat of battle, sometimes things like this can go out the window. You just totally forget to platoon with other teammates who actually do have enough kills. And at the time that xFiZzoo was killing the Su-76, he probably could have seen on the minimap that there was no way that guy was going to kill him, and there was at least, well, not the minimap, but on the scoreboards, he would have seen that there were 2 other players who did have 3 kills, and therefore he could take the kill and join them and get the Brothers in Arms. The Looks also managed to get an All-X medal in that game, so well done to him. And when it came to base XP, yep, it's xFiZzoo. He got the most because he got the high caliber. 1,154. He's the only one over 1,000. 992 went to the Looks. And the next high score after that was the Panzer von Fear, who managed to get 642. xFiZzoo fired 26 rounds of HE in that game. 20 direct hits and 1 penetration on the enemy. You saw that penetrating shot. It was on the BT7. It was a big one. Of course, it's very thin armor on a BT7. 19 splash damages as well on the enemy. Damage of 2,457 hit points, of which 543 were at more than 300 meters. Those were the shots he was firing using the minimap across the battlefield, as well as that Stug that he was firing at as well. Or was it a Stug? I think it was a Stug. Pretty sure it was a Stug. Yes, it was a Stug 4, that's what. Yep, and he received 8 hits from the enemy, 4 of which penetrated, 3 non-penetrations, and 1 hit by way of splash damage. Now, one of the splash damage one was the Valentine anti-tank who hit him and didn't pen, but he did do a fair amount of damage. And, well, the penetrations, AMX-40 managed to get 2 penetrations, I seem to recall, on him. And the 3 non-penetrations, well, one of those came from the AMX-40 and gifted him the Spartan medal. He blocked damage of 157 hit points in total. I think one of the shots as well came from the BT7. That was one that he blocked. Or well, didn't block, but... Or may have been a block anyway. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 8 enemy vehicles damaged, 3 killed, and 624 hit points of damage assistance. On a premium count, he earned 44,363 credits from the game, and after repair, ammunition resupply, remember, just standard HE, which is dirt cheap, and means you make a huge profit, and he made 37,702 credits to take away from a tier 5 battle. 1,731 XP times 2 for the first victory on this occasion, 3,462 experience points altogether. So only his second battle in the Wolverine and he's already got an ace tanker. I know it's happened to me in other tanks where you actually go into it and you get an ace tanker after only a couple of games. In fact, I know people who've actually gone onto a tank that they've bought brand new and they've got an ace tanker on their first game. Which is incredible, but it just shows that skills are translatable. And in xFiZzoo's case, he certainly made this one work for him. Very well done, staying alive as long. And also, I would say to everyone who plays the M10 out there, the derp gun is just so much fun because it really does overpower enemy tanks. If you ever come across a tier 4 tank, you can do what he did to that BT7. Because, of course, as you saw, he whacked him for 457 hit points with just 1 penetrating shot. It really does overwhelm them. So if you get a big game where lots of tier 4 tanks in it and you're top tier, you can literally monster the enemy and end up with a high caliber. It just takes a little bit of effort and, of course, using your skills as a tank destroyer to actually take down the enemy without getting hit in return. So I hope you enjoyed that game. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.